This is full.
Hi, please be seated.
Okay, there's
Got
the
a-
crew.
A full house. That's great. All right. So good morning or good. I have
When is
morning
it?
in there. So I've been. They told me not to get off script because the last time I've done that, I've been in trouble. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Charles Strage. I'm the Chief Judge of the 10th Judicial Districts. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to our judicial investiture ceremony this afternoon for Jason Billum. On behalf of my fellow judges, I want to thank you all for coming today. This is a very special occasion for Judge Billum. I want to call him Jason because we all call him Jason, but Judge Billum, his family, and all of his colleagues. So today's ceremony is to be both a very solemn and festive occasion, but if you'd like to take a photo, that's okay. And the rules of decorum are suspended for today. And if you want to laugh, that's okay too, and actually is expected. So make yourselves at home, and we're going to go through this ceremony, celebrate it, and then I hear there's a party afterwards. So that's what we're going to do. So let me introduce the judges who are sitting up on the bench with me. To the right, I have Justice Evelyn Wilson of the Kansas Supreme Court, who's joined us here today. Also, we have Chief Judge Karen Arnoldberger from the Kansas Court of Appeals to my left. And then down a little lower to my right is Judge Warner, Sarah Warner from the Kansas Court of Appeals, who's also joined us and given us the pleasure of being here today. So then I want to allow Justice Wilson to give us a few words, and then Judge Arnoldberger, and then we'll begin with the proceedings.
In my capacity on the Kansas Supreme Court, I am honored to be the departmental liaison for Johnson County. In that capacity, I am able to serve as chair, non-voting chair of the nominating commission, of which you have 14 members. And I'm going to defer to Judge Arnoldberger in just a minute to talk more about that very hardworking nominating commission as she served on it for many years. We've got 5 of these ceremonies today, and this is the last one. But in the last one, we talked a little bit about stories and the importance of stories. I know that personally, I will never forget the day that I became a district court judge. And the story that I want to tell you kind of relates to that and the importance of being a district court judge and what you can do for the community. Because I was just going about some of my administrative duties as a judge one day, and I noticed that there was someone who was in the Shawnee County Jail, and it was December 23rd. And this person had failed to appear for a hearing. And I thought, he's about to spend Christmas in jail. So I'd like to know what happened with this guy and whether there's a possibility that he ought to be able to get out of jail. How bad was this? What happened? Because often or sometimes when people don't appear, the judge doesn't know why. And so there's a warrant issued. And he had been picked up on this warrant. So he came over. I said, please have him brought over, call his attorney and the opposing counsel, and we'll talk about this. And he explained to me that it had been a mix-up, that he had forgotten that he was supposed to be in court that day. And so I had to judge, as judges do, to figure out whether or not that was reliable. And both of the attorneys agreed that there was no reason why he couldn't get out and just reschedule the next hearing. So that's what a district judge can do. You have such access to your community, and you have a lot of power to try to see and make sure that justice is done in a particular case. Appellate judges don't do that kind of thing. It is an immense power and responsibility, but it is incredibly important. And Mr. Billum, you're about to take on that mantle of responsibility. And I hope that you find during the course of your career that you are as gratified as I have been to be a judge, because it is a wonderful honor.
Journal.
Thank you. I'm very happy and proud to be here today. I always love an opportunity to come to the 10th Judicial District. This is where I started practicing law. It's where all my friends are. This is always old home week to come here. I want to talk just a little bit about the Nominating Commission because, as Justice Wilson said, I served on it for 8 years. I know the work that they put in to selecting judges. Throughout the state of Kansas, there are varying methods of selecting judges. We either have judicial districts that have decided to go with the merit selection system, or those that do partisan judicial elections. So you run as a Democrat or a Republican for your seat as a judge. That's how it's done in Wyandotte County. That's how it's done in Sedgwick County. But the voters of Johnson County have voted at least on 3 different occasions that they want to keep this merit selection system. And the beauty of the system is anyone can apply for a position. You don't have to be a politician. You don't have to be involved in politics. In fact, your politics is never discussed. You apply, you have this 14-member nominating commission that reviews your application. Everybody's on a level playing field. And I would hazard to guess that we would not have the wonderful bench we have in Johnson County right now if we had at least we wouldn't have a lot of these judges, because my guess is a lot of them, and at least me, I don't know about Justice Wilson, but probably wouldn't have sought a position on the bench if we had to run in a partisan political election. So we've elected to keep the merits system. These members of the Nominating Commission, Justice Wilson mentioned at the last session that there were 27 applicants for these openings. They've had to review 27 applications, letters of recommendation, reach out to references. They reach out to people that Mr. Billum or Judge Billum practiced with, practiced against, judges he appeared in front of, and they really are trying to find people maybe that don't like him, to find out why they don't like him. I mean, they want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly before they trust someone to be a judge in Johnson County. And they do a wonderful job. They're volunteers. They have their own jobs, and it takes hundreds of hours. And so with that, I'd like to introduce the ones that are here today and have them stand. I hope we haven't had any additions from the last one, but if we do, we'll figure that out. So here today from the Nominating Commission are Rick Gwynn, Annabeth Serbaugh, who's had some knee issues, used to be chairman of the Johnson County Board of County Commissioners, Stephanie Moore, Tom Bath, Sam Turner. Are you a nominee? Okay, good. Okay, you could be one now if you want. Okay, and then we have retired Judge Steve Tatum, retired Judge Kevin Moriarty, and Judge Kelly Ryan. And these people all deserve a huge round of applause for bringing forward. So thank you all very much for your service.
All right, thank you. I'd like to thank members of the county government that are here, any state legislators that may be here, state government people. I neglected to say in our last ceremony about a few minutes ago that our staff at our court administration staff has been wonderful. Laura Brewer, Andre Tyler, the people who work in that office to pull this all together. This has been a huge orchestration here to get 5 judges sworn in at the same time, and it's worked like clockwork. The only person screwed it up is the chief judge, who keeps messing up
this one, not this one.
This chief judge, yeah, this one, yeah. That's why this one will never be this one. So, all right, and so And then Jason, who's my administrative assistant, who's been running around here all day. You may have seen her. Thank her. And I think we have Stephanie Smith from OJA, who is our sort of our statewide administration person. If she's here, raise your hand. Thank you for being here. So, and so we get all this support. You know, we're the third branch of government, but we rely on the other two branches to provide us the necessary support so that we can operate in a fair and impartial manner. And so here we are because of the county providing us this beautiful courthouse, this beautiful courtroom, technology that allows people to watch this proceeding here today remotely. And so we want to just acknowledge and thank the people from the other branches of government who allow us to do our jobs. So with that then, I'm going to introduce guest speakers. Do you have all your guest speakers here? I do. One was trailing that I heard it, and I was not surprised by the name that they had heard. So as I understand it, who's going first? We've got Jordan Newmark and Courtney Henderson. Jordan, are you going to go first? All right, you may go ahead and proceed.
May it please the court. Sorry, where's I have it? Amongst you sit some of the most well-respected legal minds in the great state of Kansas to slam a gavel. While I, a guy who has used a foam gavel to whack his kids on the head, has been asked to stand here and speak about Jason. You should be terrified. Congratulations to Jason, now Judge Jason Brian Billum, or J2B2, as I've become fond of calling him. One of my greatest honors has been to be asked to say kind words about Jason, and as he assured me that his check would clear. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine suggested that I go full-on roast of Jason, but since there is a non-zero chance that Jason would be asked to eulogize me, I thought better about giving him the last word. But it's not just my reluctance towards giving Jason the last word that has me saying nice things about him today. It's that there are very few people that I admire, and Jason is one of them. His intellect, commitment, sense of humor, and many other qualities are an inspiration to me, and I know to many others. In fact, when I got the call a few months ago to speak on Jason's behalf, I decided to prepare remarks with the same level of rigor and intensity that Jason has always demonstrated when preparing for something important. So late last night, I began. The Greek philosopher Socrates described the four essential qualities of a good judge. They are to hear courteously, to answer wisely, to consider soberly, and to decide impartially. I wholeheartedly believe that Jason has and displays these qualities in great abundance. One quality that the great philosopher Socrates did not mention as an essential quality of a good judge is to rant passionately. Though if you had known Jason, I suspect that would have made his list as well. Jay, I hope that as a judge, you get the opportunity to rant from time to time because you're really, really, really good at it. Jason also has a keen analytical mind and is genuinely funny, kind, smart, and thoughtful. From our first real interaction with each other, we experienced the great fluidity of the law and the absurdity we often encounter around it. That experience began with the two of us arguing with each other over answers to property law questions in one of our professor's offices. Continued with our professor telling us that each of us were correct, and then concluded with this professor making us touch his surgically implanted shunt in his skull while he asked and offered for us to listen to him play the guitar. It was in that crucible that we formed an unbreakable bond. Jason has come a long way since then, and I have watched him grow and develop, rooting for him to become a judge so that he may continue on his bright path. I'm so impressed by his talent and his achievements. I'm proud and honored to call him my best friend and to be part of his life. As I look around and take note of those in attendance, and I am actually surprised that there aren't more empty seats, I would like to think that the spirit of Jason's dad, Terry Billum, is sitting in one of them. He would be most proud, more proud than all of us. The state of Kansas has a motto, which you can see behind the bench up above, ad astra per aspera, which means to the stars through difficulties. I could not imagine a more appropriate saying to apply to Jason. Jay, congratulations. And as your newfound ancestor said, mazel tov.
Well, we all know Courtney. Courtney, the pressure's on.
I don't feel any of the pressure because all of the nice things have been said. That leaves me here to approach, and I appreciate how you said it, Jordan, thinking that he prepared the night before for his cases. I will tell you, after handling his cases since he's been gone, I think it's more on the fly. And in that spirit, I decided to speak on the fly as well, because I think that is how Jason would most appreciate it. He has wonderful qualities, and we know that. That's why we're here today. We are here today to celebrate him for a job that he has yet to start, but we are here to tell everyone that he's going to do wonderful at it. I didn't have this day when I started my career, and I'm sure the rest of us haven't, but I think this is a wonderful approach to this prospect. And I will also note that it is great to see everyone here. I recently attended Judge Voken's retirement here in the courthouse, and I think there were fewer people there because I believe there's still a need for Mr. Billum. This is a new judge, and there is a chance that we will be appearing in front of him, and it's good to be seen. But I want to keep this fairly short, and I spoke to Judge Joyce. He gave me some guidance on how to handle this, particularly at the end of the day, after we've heard many, many speeches. And it tied into something that Judge McCarthy had told me along the way, because Judge Billum has been now practicing this for about a month, and he's really started to acclimate himself. And I think he's in a wonderful position with the people around him to help him, because this is an area of the law that he's unfamiliar with, and he's going to need to rely on people to trust his other judges to get advice. I know that he is diving into this head first, as he was the first one to wear the ugly sweater to the en banc meeting, even though that is a well-known tradition. And I know he will continue to follow those well-known traditions because that's who he is. But Judge McCarthy told this story, and several of you may have heard this. Judge McCarthy was part of a group of judges that came on, and there were about 5 of them, if I'm correct. And those 5 all came around the same time, and they nicknamed themselves, because that's how nicknames work. Generally, you give them to yourself and then they stick. Judge McCarthy told us that this group has nicknamed themselves the Fab Five. And he's told this story about how the group came on and they bonded and they're proud of this moment. And this was something that stuck with Jason because he knew about this, and he's also in a unique circumstance. He's coming on with 2 other district court judges at the same time. There are 3 of them. 3 of them coming in underneath Chief Judge Charles Dregge. And they too have given themselves a nickname. I've heard it. And I want to be the first to share it because I'm certain it will make its way into the en banc meetings. I'm certain others will hear it. And just like all good nicknames, you give it to yourself, it sticks. So after hearing all of the wonderful things and ending the day, I'd like to be the first to welcome the 3 Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels.
I have nothing else left, Angel.
All right, I prefer Chucky's Angels, but Charlie's will work. Jason, will you come up and be sworn, please? Raise your right hand, please. Jason Billum, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Kansas, and faithfully discharge the duties of a district court judge for the 10th Judicial District in the state of Kansas? So help you God.
I still swear.
Congratulations. Provide you with your gavel. You may do your robing. And while he's zipping up, I'd like to introduce to you our Division 22, correct? Because the double dish. And as his luck would have it, pulled out of a hat when we had three at the same time. He was last. So Jason Billum, our newest district court judge.
Thank you, and I appreciate you all being here. They told me I had about 5 minutes without realizing it takes me about 5 minutes just to say hello. So I'm going to do the best I can and dive right in. I first wanted to thank Courtney Henderson, who's been my close friend for about 20 years. He and I became law partners in 2005. And for those 18 years, we've worked together, shared holidays, lunches, and the occasional vacation. I'll miss being with him almost every day to scheme and complain about how we were treated. Folks have asked me a lot about what Courtney's going to do after 18 years and what's going to happen with them. And I'll be honest, I think it's going to be really rough on him. I mean, seriously, it's hard to be tall, handsome, and have good hair in a vacuum. For 18 years, he's had me standing next to him in order for him to shine. I don't know what he's going to do from here, but I wish you luck, my friend. I also wanted to thank my friend and classmate Jordan Newmark, who flew in from Chicago just to be here. I am the godfather to his only daughter, Ellie, and we rely on each other often to talk and to go over what's happened in our days and figure out what we're going to do. Jordan has a master's degree in entomology from KU. That's the study of bugs. Jordan is a cautionary tale and an example of what happens when we let our children pick their own majors without any regard to what's going to happen in your career. But for those of us that have been there or you think you're going to get there, I want you to know that you can always follow Jordan's path and make up for it. Doesn't matter what major you take that makes people really kind of think twice, just go to law school. Make yourself successful. Have a good practice. And the best part about Jordan is he will still respond to pictures via text of some strange insect I found in my house. It's great. I wouldn't be here without my wife, Jennifer. She's right here. She's doing today what she's done for the last 25 plus years. She's here supporting me, looking beautiful, and helping me dress the part. When we met 20 years ago, now it's been closer to 30 years ago, I was a 20-year-old kid who was taking night classes and talking about going to law school. And she didn't laugh. I mean, to my face. I don't know what she said to her friends, but after we were married, we had a new baby, and I told her that the lawyers that I emulated and I thought were the greatest that I had known, they'd been public defenders. So I wanted to leave the great firm that I worked at to go be a public defender so I could be in the courtroom, and she supported me. After our second daughter was born and was just an infant, I told her I wanted to leave that job, which was at least a steady paycheck, to go out with Courtney and start a firm where we didn't know if we'd make any money. Again, she supported me. Now, 18 years later, I've told her that I felt that I needed to make a career path change, and she's still here supporting me, helping me get dressed, and telling me that black is slimming. I want to thank my dad and my mom for their support growing up. My mom thinks I'm great. She's here. In fact, when I was practicing, clients would ask me, they're like, "Are you a good attorney?" And my response would routinely be, "Well, my mom thinks so." And she does. I mean, that's what she thinks. And she's a smart lady, so I think she knows what she's talking about. And if you don't believe me, feel free to ask her later. She'll tell you. I'm great. I wanted to thank my brother Vince, who's right back here. We look a lot alike. He's got a lot more hair than I do. But he's always had my back. I would ask that you skip asking him if I'm great, because he doesn't exactly share the same opinion. I have the two wonderful daughters that I mentioned. They're both here, Caroline and Anna. I appreciate them and their impact on my life very much. I couldn't ask for two greater daughters. I mean, I suppose I could ask for one that didn't want to attend K-State. And I could ask for another one that's not dating a guy from K-State where she spends all of her time. But other than that, I mean, it's not that bad. But even with that, their wit, their humor, and I guess we'll call it insight, has helped keep me grounded and humble, which is in itself no small feat. So being humble is my third greatest quality. After my highest and lowest of days, I could return home. And it didn't matter because you were quick to assure me that I was still your father and I was still a dork. And I love you very much. Jenny Dodd is here. She came in from New York. She practices there. We went to law school together. That's a trend if you've been to all 5 of these, because Judge Goodnow and I, and many people in this room all started law school at the same time as summer starters. But Jenny Dodd listened to what I had to say, sort out my thoughts with the patience that someone who has no idea who I'm talking about and no idea about what I'm talking about can do. And she helped me sort things out, and I really appreciate her being here. I don't really have any way to zing her because she's just too darn nice. I asked to go last. I didn't actually lose that drawing. I wanted to go last because I wanted to be able to thank Zach Thomas, and I wanted to make sure he'd be up. Zach spent a lot of time listening to me as well. He spent a lot of time encouraging me in interviews and talking to people to be myself, and that would be enough to know the real me, and that he could give me a lot of good advice. Now, he told me I couldn't follow his #1 pro tip, was just to tell everyone that I graduated from Rockhurst, but I took his advice the best I could. I'd like to think that I'm a kinder, gentler, and perhaps worn version of the younger me, but still maintain that same core. And to that end, I would tell you that when I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, we had a PE teacher who attempted to teach us about soccer. My good friend Sean Black, who's been my best friend since 1st grade's here, and he can verify this happened. She got it all wrong. The positions, where you stood on the field, how you played, what you wanted to do, all of it. 2nd or 3rd grade me raised his hand, had commentary about what she was doing. After the 3rd time I'd raised my hand, she asked me if I wanted to come teach the class about soccer instead of her. I said yes. I believed then, and I was sure, and I believe that I proved that I knew soccer and could explain it to my classmates accurately and successfully. I've been practicing law for more than 23 years, and there have been many times that I have lamented that the judge got it wrong, or that I could do at least as well, if not better, than the person on the bench. I mean, never in this jurisdiction. And it was always someplace else. Well, today I've raised my hand, and I've taken an oath, and now it's time for me to make it my mission to prove, as I did when I was in 3rd grade, that I do know what I'm doing and that I can be a good judge. Thank you all for being here.
Let the record reflect that 3 people stand to give you a standing.
Not a full standing
Not a-
ovation,
you're right.
partial.
Welcome to the bench, Jason. You're going to be a great addition. Thank you all for being here today. Those of you who stuck with us for 5 of these, this is historic. I don't think we've ever done, I know we've never done 5 judicial investitures all in one day before. So you've all been witness to history. Thank you for being here. We are all going to adjourn here and go across and have a reception if you want to stick around. And then you can congratulate Jason some more. So, and tell Courtney what a lousy speaker he is. So, all right. So with that, then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We are adjourned. I think you got this. You know, I think